Today, we're going to be going through how to steal customers from competitors. Now, I sent a message to all of my LinkedIn connections and I invited them to my webinar. I said, hey, I'm doing this webinar. It's called How to Steal Customers from Competitors. Would love you to join. A lady called Sarah responded to me and she said, stealing customers from competitors is completely unethical. Ryan, you sound like a total dick. Well, charming, I thought. Ruined my morning. So I would like to dedicate this webinar to Sarah, and hopefully you don't think I'm a dick. Let's get into this. I'll do a little slide about me. So I'm the founder of Rocket SaaS. We're a marketing agency. We focus on working for B2B SaaS companies. I've scaled the business from 0 to 1.4 million in annual recurring revenue. I've done that in just over 3 years. And I've done it 100% through inbound marketing. And a lot of the marketing that we've done is stealing clients from competitors. Lots of clients of ours that were really unhappy with the previous agency and they've moved over to us. And it's partly because of great content we've created, great targeting that we've done. So I thought I'd make this webinar to kind of go through the processes of how you do it and particularly how you do it for SaaS businesses. So that's me. Also, I'm the host of a podcast called SaaS Marketing Weekly. So if you enjoy the tips that I'm going to be giving you in this webinar and you want more free SaaS marketing advice on how to scale your SaaS business, check out SaaS Marketing Weekly. It's on Spotify, Apple, basically anywhere you get your podcast. You should be able to find it. It's just a short episode every Tuesday with a tip on how to grow. So that's me. So what are we going to cover today? So I really don't like those webinars that is like very fluffy and there's people talking about stuff quite high level. Then you finish the webinar, you think, okay, but what's the next steps? What do I need to do to implement this? So my webinars, I like them to be very actionable. So I'm going to give you 5 things that I want you to do. And if you do them in this order, you're almost guaranteed to make sales and scale the business. So the first thing we're going to look at is listing your competitors, outlining the differences and your USPs. Then we're going to look at how to decide how aggressive you want to be on this scale. And I'm going to show you some really fun examples of other SaaS brands and where they sit on the aggression scale. Then I'm going to talk to you about how to create the assets or what assets you need to create and what needs to be within those assets. Then there's a really interesting piece about where to find your competitors' clients. I've got 10 different examples of where you can dig out your competitors' clients and then you can go after them. And then the 5th one is how to market your campaign to those people that you found. So let's get into this. But first of all, before I go through those 5 things, let's talk about why competitive comparison campaigns are amazing marketing campaigns. Talk about a bit like the philosophy behind marketing. So first of all, lots of people are unhappy with their current provider. You probably know this. You probably talk to some of your customers that have switched over. There's a lot of unhappy people. Most of you on this webinar or watching this webinar, you're probably a small, medium SaaS company. So there's probably going to be a bigger competitor out there or multiple bigger competitors. And the bigger the company gets, usually that equals more unhappy customers. Customer service is often poor. You submit a support ticket, it takes 3, 4, 5 days to get a response. Or you request a new feature and just it goes on deaf ears. Or maybe the pricing has really got crazy as you've scaled your business. There's lots of people unhappy with lots of things. That's why competitive comparison campaigns are really strong. You're obviously never going to steal a competitor. You're never going to steal someone from someone that's happy with a competitor, but there's a lot of people that are unhappy. The other thing that's great about competitive comparison campaigns is that these other big boy clients have done a lot of the hard work for you. So a lot of them have spent a lot of budget, a lot of ad spend, a lot of educational, top of funnel content, the sort of stuff that you don't have the resources or the budget to do. They've convinced your market that they need this digital solution. And just as your prospect is about to pull the trigger with them, you just nip in at the last minute with a low budget and just hijack the deal. So I'm going to teach you how to kind of go through that approach. And then the last point, which is I think the most important point from a marketing philosophy point of view, is that a huge number of your target accounts are already with a competitor. A lot of businesses make the mistake in marketing when they only go after people that are looking for their solution. So they only target people that don't have a solution at the moment and they're looking for a solution. So maybe they're currently managing their processes with spreadsheets and manual processes, and you're saying, we're a great solution. You should go with us instead. And that's a relatively small audience. Whereas if you target companies that are already with competitors, you're opening yourself up to a much, much, much bigger audience. So there's a lot of people that are already with competitors and they're unhappy, but they're not looking for your solution. They're with the competitor, they're unhappy, but they're not to the point of, God, I need a new solution. They're to the point of just going on with the status quo kind of thing. So if you can target those people, you are opening up your target audience in a massive, massive way. Okay. A few people asking if it will be recording. Yes, we are recording, and I will send it out to everybody that's attended. So if you've got to shoot, I'll send it out. Right, step number 1. This is where we get into the actionable stuff of what I want you to actually do. So list competitors, outline differences, and explain your USPs. So get a Google spreadsheet or an Excel spreadsheet and list all of your competitors. Either you do it or you farm that out to a virtual assistant or someone. Obviously, what it takes is a bit of Googling and a bit of research. So you list all your competitors, then you break down what they offer versus what you offer, and then you highlight your USPs and your advantage over them. And you want to focus on the gaps, focus on the opportunities. So eventually you'll end up with a table that looks like this. All the competitors in the first column, then you describe what is the competitor offering, like how do they describe their solution? Then how do you describe your solution that's filling the gaps that they potentially don't have, or why is your solution better? Then what is your unique selling point? And then also, what are the gaps? What are the opportunities? So in terms of gaps and opportunities, I've listed some examples here: poor support, poor user engagement, no advanced task management. That's all about features. So you'll start to find these gaps and opportunities when you dig into things like reviews, like negative reviews that your competitors are getting. But you should be able to work through this. And I would think that most companies probably won't struggle to get 5 competitors in a sheet. A lot of you should be able to get 10, 15. So start to put all this together. And this is the starting point of this whole campaign. So like I said, I'll send this out later so you can pause this and copy this table. So once you've got all of your competitors and your USPs and the gaps and the opportunities, you then need to decide how aggressive you want to be with your campaigns. So you basically need to ask yourself, how much are we willing to publicly slag them off? How much are you willing to insult them? And it's not a decision that you can take lightly. It's not a decision that you can take on your own. You need to be careful. So there's certain things that you need to consider when you're running a competitor comparison campaign and how aggressive you want to be. And when I say aggressive, I mean aggressive would be naming and shaming them, literally showing their name, listing their fallbacks, why they're bad, why their pricing sucks. Because you can't do that. It's not illegal to do that. But there's certain things you need to be wary of if you are going to go down that route. Because you could go to the other end of the scale where you're just not really mentioning them. You're just kind of more talking about yourselves. But you need to decide that there's a lot of reward to be there if you go down the aggressive scale, but you just need to be careful of a few things. So one thing is burning bridges. If you've got a good relationship with a client, or maybe it was the old company that you used to work for, or maybe you're currently sharing customers, or there's an opportunity for you to share business with each other. If you start doing aggressive competitive comparison campaigns, you're going to burn those bridges. I was on a call about an hour ago with one of my clients, and he said he did a LinkedIn post, like basically insulting a way that certain companies do certain services. And one of his it wasn't actually a competitor, it was one of his partners messaged him and said, oh, that was a bit distasteful because we do it that way and we're supposed to be partners. I'd appreciate if you don't do those sorts of posts again. And he was kind of kicking himself. So you need to be very careful about, your partners and who you might be upsetting here. And the other thing is merger acquisition possibilities. If you're thinking of selling the business, one of the people that's likely to buy you is going to be a bigger competitor. So if you piss them off with all these negative campaigns about them, then you could be damaging that. Another one would be board leadership approval. I've seen it happen before where people have done quite aggressive competitor comparison campaigns. Then they go into a board meeting with the investors the next quarter and the board are just not impressed. Like they don't think it's a good representation of the brand. So you want to be careful with that. So you want to get board leadership sign off before you go into these campaigns because you could rock the apple cart a little bit. Another one would be brand damage. So if it's not the right thing for your brand, if your customers might find aggressive campaigns, insulting competitors a little bit jarring, and you think that could damage your kind of customer reputation, you want to think about that too. And obviously there's legal risks too. So you need to be just careful what you say. You can't say this competitor doesn't have this feature, but then they actually do have the feature and they can probably take legal action. So just be very careful around that. So I hope I haven't scared you off, but just some things to consider there. Because ultimately, you've got this sliding scale of how aggressive you want to be, and you need to decide where you fit on this scale. You've got the left-hand side of the scale where you just don't mention competitors at all. You can still do competitor comparison campaigns without mentioning their names. You can just talk, you can say things like, most other companies in our space don't have the following features, or they do this following kind of pricing model, which we don't agree with, whereas we do this. So you're not naming anyone. Or you got the other end of the scale where you go for the jugular. You name them, you shame them, you insult them, you say how bad their services are, because lots of companies do that. And I'm going to show you some examples in a minute. But yeah, something that I have noticed, people that sit on this end of the scale, the left-hand side, is usually the market leaders. So if you think about McDonald's versus Burger King, obviously not B2B SaaS, but it's a good example. McDonald's never mention their competitors. They only focus on themselves. Whereas Burger King are always slagging off the Big Mac. The Whopper is bigger, it's tastier. They're always doing campaigns about that. And that's because Burger King is trying to catch up to McDonald's. You get the same thing with Apple and Samsung. Apple never, ever mentioned Samsung. Apple purely focus on themselves and their own features, whereas Samsung is always doing these subtle digs and insults about the iPhone. That's because they're trying to catch up. Now, most of you on this call are not going to be market leaders. You are going to be playing catch up. So that is why there is reward if going on this right-hand side of the scale is right for you. So let's have some fun. Let's look at some examples of brands and where they sit on the aggressive scale. So I'm going to show you some examples of mainly LinkedIn ads. So Cognium, most of you are probably familiar with Cognium. Cognium are a company that basically they sell you data for people that you can contact from a sales and marketing point of view. You can get like email addresses, phone numbers, names, job titles of people. And one of their competitors is called Apollo. Again, you might have heard of them. So there's quite a difference between them, particularly in price. So Cognium is expensive. Its prices vary. I've been quoted about £1,000 a month, whereas Apollo is like $99 a month. So it's a huge difference. So Cognium are losing so many customers to Apollo because people just get attracted to just the cost of it. So Cognium have gone on a very aggressive campaign against Apollo. When you rely on Apollo for contact data, but your prospects are all based in the EMEA, and some guy slamming his head on a laptop in frustration. So they're just basically insulting their lack of coverage of their solution. And there's another one from Cognium as well, and they've gone down the comedy meme route, just insulting them. So they're not even going after Apollo here; they're going after their other competitors, ZoomInfo and Lusher. So what do ZoomInfo and Lusher both have in common? None of them have as many mobile numbers as Cognium, and they're literally laughing at their competitors. In the caption at the top, they do say, jokes aside, ZoomInfo and Lusher are solid. I mean, that's the most backhanded compliment I've ever seen. But there's examples of very aggressive campaigns that they're doing. So these are LinkedIn ads that are shown to a very wide audience. So that's quite an interesting campaign there. Then you've got Zoho. You're probably familiar with Zoho. One of Zoho's biggest competitors is Salesforce. So they've identified it in that table I showed you in step one. If Zoho did something like that, they would have said Salesforce, one of our biggest competitors. And then what are the gaps? It's price. Salesforce is expensive, whereas Zoho is more affordable. So they've done campaigns saying, Salesforce is increasing their prices. We at Zoho want to ask, is it time to explore alternatives? Or another ad here, Salesforce is an expensive solution, expensive in capital letters with many hidden costs. So they've pulled out expensive, hidden costs. Those are the things that people don't like. Zoho, we offer practical technology solutions at a reasonable highlighted price. So they're going all about the price. That's what they've identified is the big gap. So again, they're being very aggressive, naming, shaming. Another one, ActiveCampaign. One of ActiveCampaign's biggest competitors is MailChimp. And they've named and shamed. They said MailChimp can't do that, but ActiveCampaign can. And then they've literally shown MailChimp's pricing in their ad. You may think you're not allowed to do that. I mean, you probably check the laws of your country. But yeah, they've literally just shown MailChimp's features and their pricing against theirs. This is an Instagram ad, I believe. So yeah, again, very aggressive campaigns. This is a screenshot that I took from Intercom's landing page, so Intercom versus Zendesk. Customer service has evolved. Zendesk hasn't. Ouch. Very aggressive. Another one from MailChimp. More personalization, greater delivery, less cost. MailChimp can't do that. So you are allowed to mention your competitors. There's no kind of rules against that. So that was an example of like being very aggressive. And then you've got an example here of being a bit more subtle with it, a little bit more clever with it. So you can let your customers do the insulting for you. So an example here from Intercom is they've taken a quote from a customer. So it's like they're not saying it, our customers are saying it. So this is a quote about Zendesk. The product has barely improved in the last 10 years since I worked with them. And they got a load of these other testimonials. So that's one, more subtle way of doing it. And then you've got Monday.com. So this is an example of being on the left-hand side of that aggression scale. So they're not naming and shaming competitors, but they are talking about the issues that other competitors have. So if you're with another competitor for a CRM, you've got loads of tabs and it's hard work to navigate between most of the tabs. Whereas with Monday.com, you just have one tab. It's an all-in-one solution. So it's kind of like a competitor campaign because you're talking about the negatives and the pain points of what you might be doing at the moment with multiple solutions, and then you're leading with more your benefits. So those are some examples of different campaigns that you can run, different ads, different creatives. So you need to just figure out with you and the board where you want to sit, and then get to work on creating these types of ads. So step 3 is to create the assets. So far, you've got your list of competitors, you've got your list of USPs, you've got your gaps, and you've also figured out where you want to sit on that aggression scale. Now you need to start creating the assets. So let's go into that. The first thing you need is a landing page. So in step 5, I'm going to talk to you about driving traffic. But before you drive traffic, you need somewhere for the traffic to go. So this is where we're going to drive traffic to, some kind of a landing page. So here's like a wireframe of a typical landing page. And I'm going to explain to you on the following slides what you need to be including on your landing pages. Now, in terms of how many landing pages you should create, you can create one landing page for each of your competitors. Or you can create one landing page that kind of compares you to all of your competitors at the same time. With marketing, the more targeted you are, the better, generally speaking. So I'd always recommend creating a different landing page for each of your competitors that you're driving traffic to. You'll probably find that most of the pages have very, very similar content, but it will just be better targeting if you can just directly compare yourself to one other solution rather than confusing people and comparing you to lots of other solutions. Also, if you're going to be doing Google ads where you're hijacking the brand terms that people are searching and you're driving people, you want people to be compared to exactly the solution that they were looking for. So a few different landing pages to create. In terms of what you want on the landing page, a compelling headline. This is the most important part of any landing page. You need a really strong headline, and you want to address the point of why people clicked on those ads. So you don't just want to have a headline that talks about why you're a great solution. You want to have a headline that explains the difference between you and your competitor. So I've got 3 different templates that I use here. And these work really, really well. So why your product is better than competitor for customer pain point. Very clear, does what it says on the tin. No buzzwords, nothing clever. Just a very simple explanation. Those are my favorite sorts of headers, ones that are very easy to understand. Another one, the ultimate comparison, your product versus competitor for desired outcome. I always like to get that desired outcome in there. A lot of landing pages are us versus them, but getting that desired outcome in there just adds a much better hook, just encourages people to scroll. And then you've got the third option, which is softer. So this one doesn't mention the competitors. This is if you're on the left-hand side of the scale. It would be something like, say goodbye to competitors' weakness without naming them. You just talk about, say, for example, slow customer support. Here's why your product is built for benefit. So yeah, those top 2 ones a little bit more aggressive. The bottom one, much softer. So yeah, those are great formats. And then on the landing page, you want to have a comparison table. So you've probably seen these before. These are really good to like visually engage people. Ticks and crosses. It couldn't be easier to understand than that. If you just have a landing page with paragraphs of text, people just skim it, they don't read it. Stuff like this is really easy to digest, and it kind of draws your eyes in. And it's also a really great way of making your product look so much better than your competitors. So here's a screenshot that I took from Deal. They're like an EOR platform, and one of their competitors, Papaya Global, and they just listed the features, and they said, Deal, we have these features. These guys don't. And then it doesn't have to be ticks and crosses. You can have like numbers as well. So entity ownership, 100 plus. They've got a question mark there, which is not ideal. You'd rather that said 0. But that's a really good example of a customer comparison table. I'd say that is like pretty much critical for a competitor comparison landing page. So you should work really hard to get one of those. I know some things might be subjective. You might struggle to get exact ticks and crosses, but you should, as long as you don't get any legal trouble of saying that a company doesn't have a feature when they actually do, you should be able to get a good competitor comparison table going. Another example that I saw that I really liked was on the Monday.com website. They went down a slightly different approach. They were comparing their competitor Asana to themselves, but they were only doing it via like G2 reviews. So these are all the scores that Monday.com got from G2 for meets requirements, ease of use, etc. And you can see they're hitting like 91, 91, 93, whereas Asana is more in the high 80s. So again, that's a really nice table to be having. So if you're struggling with features, I'd always lead with features, but if you can also compare reviews, that speaks volumes as well. Next up, problem statements. So I'm going to show an example here from one of our clients here at Rocket SaaS called Hireful. And what we've done here is we've created a section on the landing page, which it's not talking about Hireful's solutions, their services. It's talking about the negatives that people will be experiencing with competitors, or if they're doing it in another way. So say sayonara to messy processes, email chaos, inflexible, inefficient systems, etc. And what you're doing here is you are connecting with people on an emotional level. If you just show them icons of your services and how you're a great solution and how your pricing is better, you're just not really connecting with them on an emotional level. You're connecting with them on like a sales level, which is very hard to do. Whereas if you connect with people emotionally and they get to this point of the landing page and they just start seeing all these icons of all the things that are frustrating them, they start like nodding their head going, yes, these guys get me. I am so frustrated with all these things with my current provider. They get it. And then obviously you scroll down and you start introducing the solution, which is the opposite to all of the problems. So this is something that I rarely see on just web pages, landing pages, competitive pages in general. People often miss this, but I actually think this is often one of the most important, most powerful bits from like a marketing philosophy point of view, where you connect with people emotionally. So yeah, I'd recommend that. Always works well with a annoyed, pissed off looking person. So yeah, that's problem statements. And then you want to get into the benefits. So the benefits typically be the opposite of the problem statements. And you want the benefits to be, don't just copy and paste them from your homepage, which is more general. You want the benefits to be very specific and targeted to the pain points that people have with the competitors. So for example, you might think that like chat support, maybe you wouldn't have chat support on your homepage because you think chat support is a pretty minor feature that people should probably take for granted kind of thing. But if you're doing a competitive comparison campaign and you know that your target audience that you're going after that are with that competitor are really annoyed by how slow the customer support is, then you want to have instant chat support as one of your main benefits. So you want to tweak your benefits to what you think your target audience that are currently with competitors care about the most. So for example, here, save 90 minutes per employee. Screening takes days, not weeks. So that's very targeted to people that are with a competitor. You know, people obviously complained that screening takes weeks. How annoying. Whereas we do it in days. So that's an example of, of a really good competitor campaign benefit. So let's move on. Testimonials and case studies from customers who have switched. This is a really good one from Intercom. So this is a testimonial from someone. We found Zendesk challenging and a bit dated. Intercom was thinking about AI really early. It's been delight after delight. And then you got the picture, a job title, someone senior at quite a big company. And that's great. That's the perfect testimonial for a landing page, for a competitor comparison campaign. They're hard to get, but if you ask enough of your customers that have switched and we're unhappy, then you hopefully should be able to get those. And obviously you want to, ask them and say, would you be okay to be insulting your previous supplier? And if you ask enough people, someone's going to say yes. If they were pissed off, then a lot of people should be fine to do that. But they're really, really powerful, as opposed to like just a generic testimonial saying, oh yeah, their solution is fantastic. You want it to be very, very targeted and specific about the traffic that you're driving. And go one step further as well, if possible. This is just a testimonial, but if you can also get a case study, which is like an article, and the article will, a lot of the case study will be about the usual stuff, but the article will lead by saying, yeah, we used to be with this supplier. We had the following issues. It was a bit of a nightmare, blah, blah, blah. And then we found you guys and the results were amazing. So really focus on speaking to your customers, getting your customer success team to just speak to the customers that moved, and try and get a testimonial case study out of them. That's really, really powerful. And then you want to highlight the main unique selling points. So typical areas to focus on B2B SaaS in terms of unique selling points. I see a lot around customer service. I think I mentioned this at the start of the webinar. Those big companies often have terrible customer service, whereas you, as a small SaaS company, white glove approach, our response times are rapid, we're friendly UK staff, we have instant chat support, you can jump on a call with us at any time, we'll go through the whole onboarding sequence with you. So those are typically the sorts of things that smaller companies have an advantage of the bigger companies over, is that kind of white glove approach. And companies that are frustrated with their current supplier, they love that. They love you to be as if you were part of their team, as opposed to this like faceless, outsourced customer service that just don't know what they're talking about. So yeah, customer service is often a really big one I see. Pricing is naturally one. It is one of the most powerful things in marketing. So you hear a lot of people complaining about the pricing like structure. So maybe this company that I'm currently with, or they charge us annually. So we have to pay these huge annual fees, like 20 grand a year for a subscription, whereas you charge monthly, rolling monthly cancel any time. Oh, fantastic. That'd be much better for our cash flow. Or maybe like how they do their pricing. Maybe you charge per user, which is much more attractive than your competitor that charges per, I don't know, whatever, per gigabyte or something like that. So there's often different ways that you can do pricing that can really attract people in. And obviously, if you're more affordable than them, that is a huge, huge win. You saw some examples of, I think it was ActiveCampaign that referenced pricing. Zendesk talked about pricing. Yeah, that's always going to be a big one. Is if you're more affordable than them, that's always going to really attract people. Then the final one is features. So do you have features that's better than them? Better integration, better searching, filtering? Do you have a drag and drop system? Are there certain limitations of their features that are no good? So yeah, those are the main three ones that you want to focus on in terms of your USPs. And then kind of goes without saying, just a reminder, you need a strong call to action. It's typically going to be try it for free, book a demo, get started today, and just have those call to actions placed throughout the whole page. But I give you that advice for any landing page, not just this one. And a good tip for knowing what content to put on your landing page and your ads is to look at competitor negative reviews. So you can go onto G2, Capterra, Trustpilot, find your competitor's page, look at the 1-star, 2-star reviews, even the 3-star reviews, look at what people are complaining about. If, say, this example here, lots of people are complaining that, say, mobile invoices look unprofessional. You know that on your landing page and your ads, you should say things like, send beautiful invoices on the go. So you're just countering what people are complaining about. If enough people are complaining about this one thing and you do a marketing campaign to say, we do it brilliantly, then you're going to get people to switch, aren't you? So that's a great tip, is to look at the reviews of your competitors, see what people are saying. Then you want to create ads and organic social media posts. So these are all of the examples that I showed you on a previous slide. You want to get to work creating these, writing the copy, designing them. I always find that the best ads often have very short headers, like around like 10 words or less. Relatively simple design. Memes obviously work really, really well too. But yeah, simple, strong messages, relatively minimalistic design. Yeah, that's the way to do it. So just had a question. Will the slides be sent with the recording? No, I'm not going to send the slides out, but I will send the recording. So you can obviously like pause the video and take screenshots, things like that. Right. So once you created your ads and you created your social media posts, you can obviously be in a position to start launching those campaigns, but we're going to get to that in step 5. The other thing that would be great to have would be a video case study from a client that switched. Ideally, someone that's looking like that. So a video interview with one of your clients, and you say to them, "Oh, so you used to be with so-and-so. How was that experience?" And they just talk about how frustrating it was and all the issues that they had with them and why they found you, why they chose to switch, and why you are so much better than them. That is a great, very powerful video. You can take snippets, share that on social media, put it onto your landing page, and you just want to be sharing that with people that are in the same boat that she's in. Very frustrated, but she's gone on a journey. She's left them, she's moved to you, and she's had amazing results. That's what you want to get in front of people. Okay, so step 4. So this is an interesting one. This is find your competitors' customers. So where do you find them? I'm going to give you 10 different examples on where you can find the customers of your competitors. So first of all, Apollo, Cognium, ZoomInfo, etc. Those are services where you can find contact details of companies. So you can get individual people like job titles, name, telephone number, mobile number, and there's a filter that says filter by technology that they are using. It's not always 100% accurate. Sometimes it is. So let me give you an example, right? You can say, show me all of the companies in the UK that have this level of turnover, this number of headcount size, and that are using Shopify. And then all of those platforms, Apollo, ZoomInfo, Cognium, will give you that list, and it'll be pretty bang on accurate. The reason why it can be so accurate is because they scrape all the websites on the web. And if you're using something like Shopify, you have to have Shopify coding in your HTML of your website, and they can very easily scrape that. So they can very accurately say, we know that all these businesses are using Shopify. So if you're like, going after e-commerce brands that use Shopify, you can do that filtering. You can do the same thing with things like CRMs, like HubSpot. You can tell companies that are using that. Anything that requires a bit of code in the HTML, you can guarantee that's very easy for the companies like this to scrape. But it's not just those types of technology that have to be in the HTML. That they claim to be able to find other ways. I'm not exactly sure how they do it. If it's not in the code and it cannot be scraped, there's other kind of wizardry ways that they do it. But it is quite interesting that you can just use these filters and literally say, show me all the customers that are currently using this technology. So that's worth checking out. Apollo, I think they do a free trial, or it's low cost anyway. It's $99 a month. So it's worth checking that out and just seeing that. It's called the tech filter. So that's quite interesting. Then another way to look at it is pretty straightforward, pretty easy. It's just to visit your competitor's website. So a lot of your competitors will be listing their current customers as like logo carousel, go on their case studies, their customer success page. I had a client earlier on this year where we went on their number one competitor's site, and they literally had a web page with about 100 logos of all of their customers. And my client said to me, I can almost guarantee that about 75% of those people will be pissed off because this company is getting so much bad reputation in the industry. I hear it all the time. So we just took that list of logos, put them into a spreadsheet, put them into LinkedIn Sales Navigator, found the decision maker, and we had like 100 different people that we then went after with our marketing and the sales team, and we got a ton of people to switch. And I was laughing at like how easy that was. I literally just went on the competitor's website, just looked at all the logos they shared. So that's one way to do it. And by the way, these things that I'm showing you now, you want to be obviously putting them into a spreadsheet. So putting all of those customers that you can find into a spreadsheet. I'm going to show an example in a minute. The other one, you can create ads and you can show ads to a company's followers on Meta. It unfortunately doesn't work on LinkedIn yet. They don't have that feature. I'm hoping that they will release it. But you can literally say, let me give you an example. Let's say I want to show adverts to people that follow Trello. Now, if you follow Trello on Facebook or Instagram, there's a high likelihood that you're a customer. There's I'll take a total guess here, but it's probably, I'd like to think 75% of people who follow Trello on Meta are customers. So I can create ads, I can create a campaign, I can say only show this campaign to people that follow Trello on Facebook. So I know that that is extremely targeted. So I create the campaign, I'd say what's bad about Trello, why you shouldn't be running your business in Trello because it's so limited, and then just introduce your solution to them. So you can be very, very targeted. It's really, really good. Another one is LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. So you can monitor social media pages to see which companies are interacting with their posts. So again, you're trying to find out customers of competitors. So you can go on their LinkedIn page. You can see what companies are liking or commenting. Most people that like and comment will not be unhappy customers, but you never know. You should still be adding them to the spreadsheet because also, particularly if you're lower cost, you can take customers who are not unhappy. You can take happy customers, get them to switch to you, but it mainly comes down to price. If there's like economic reasons why people have to switch. But yeah, the people that are liking, commenting on particularly, the LinkedIn platform, they're mainly going to be customers, aren't they? Review platforms, this is a good one. Check G2, Capterra, Trustpilot. Don't just look at the negative reviews, look at all of the reviews, add all of those people to the spreadsheets. They'll often give their name and first name, so maybe you can find them on LinkedIn. They often have their company name as well. So just add all of those people to the list, even if they're giving positive reviews, because the positive reviews of 2 years ago could now turn into a negative review because there's been an acquisition or the customer support's got really bad or the pricing's got really high. Just add people in, or if you just think that your product is so much better that you can convince people to move because you're a better platform. And then there's also surveys and market research. So you can conduct surveys or you can hire a market research company to gather information about which companies are using certain types of software. That can be expensive to hire a market research company, but it can be worth it if you've got the budget to do that. So you're literally just surveying people in the space. Oh, what tech do you use to do that? And then boom, you've got this great data. All right, so a few more on here. There's software called Build With and also Similar Tech. And those tools basically reveal what technology companies are using. So very similar to what I described with Apollo, Cognium in that first point that I shared with you, but these tools are specifically for that. So you can check them out, you can speak to them, just send them a message to say, look, I'm trying to find customers that use this technology. Does your database provide that information? And they'll let you know. And then you can sign up and you can literally just get a list of all of these customers that are using that technology. Very, very helpful. And there's social media monitoring tools. You can use Hootsuite, Sprout Social, Brandwatch, and you can monitor mentions of your competitors. If your competitors are upsetting a lot of people, then people take to social media and they complain. They might do a LinkedIn post or a tweet and say, oh God, I'm so frustrated. I've been on a customer service call with so-and-so company for the last hour. And then you can get a notification and then you know what to do. Then you've got LinkedIn. So you can search for employees. You can use LinkedIn Sales Navigator. You can search for employees or businesses that list your competitor's product on their profiles. So sometimes on people's LinkedIn profiles, they say, I'm an expert in this software. So that's often a clue. That's usually only for the bigger companies, but that does sometimes work. And then finally, there's support communities. So most SaaS platforms, the bigger ones particularly, have some kind of support forum. And often they're public that you can join. So you can just go through the forums and you can look at all of the people that are complaining and you see loads. Like I was going through the Asana one the other day and it's just so many people complaining about, oh, when are you going to release this feature? When are you going to fix this bug? I'm so frustrated with this. And you literally got a list of people that are ready to switch to you. So put that all together in a table that looks something like this. So you got the customer name in the first column, you got the name of the competitor in the other column, and then you got the pain point that you've identified. So the pain point you've identified from the reviews or the tweets that they've been doing or whatever. So you should be able to get a pretty good list. If you go through all of those avenues I wouldn't be surprised if you can get, well over 100 people on that list, which is great. Okay, the final step. I think we're pretty much on time here. We're going to do some Q&A at the end. If there's any questions, so feel free to to chuck in your questions. Right, now we need to market your competitor campaigns. So what have we done so far? We've listed our competitors. We've identified where we want to be on the aggression scale. We've created all the assets, landing pages, ads. We've now identified the people that we want to target. So these are the customers that are with our competitors. Now we need to market it. So Google Ads. This is how you hijack a deal at the last minute. I'm sure you're familiar with how this works. Is if somebody Googles a company name, like your competitor, so this is me Googling ActiveCampaign, the first result I see is not ActiveCampaign. It's a competitor. So they've done MailerLite, have done an ad to try and hijack this deal. So if I'm Googling ActiveCampaign, I'm pretty much ready to go with them. I know them. They've spent marketing budget to convince me. And oh, what's this? I might check that out actually. So their advert says, see why MailerLite is better, compare MailerLite versus the rest. Now, they could have said, compare MailerLite versus ActiveCampaign. That would have been better. That would have been more targeted, but they decided to go for a general approach. So it's expensive. This is called brand search. It's quite expensive to bid on other people's brands. I can't tell you exactly how much it's going to be. It depends on kind of the popularity, but it's sometimes worth paying a lot of money for the cost per click because that's quite high intent. If people are Googling the brand name, a lot of people are ready to go. So that's a great way. You click on that, it drives you to that landing page you created, and then you can try and hijack that deal. Another thing you can do this on Meta and you can do this on LinkedIn ads. It's very effective on LinkedIn ads because you can target any company of any size. On Meta ads, it's not quite as good because you can only really target quite large companies. But what you can do on LinkedIn ads is you can create your marketing campaign, create those ads that I've described earlier, and you can say, only show my ads to these companies. So you take those companies that are on your spreadsheet that you want to target, that you know are with competitors, and you only show your ads to those people. So you're not showing ads to like hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of people that it's just going to mainly go on deaf ears. And it's kind of weird that you're talking about a competitor and they're not with a competitor, but you are only showing your ads to this particular company. So in this example, I just kind of picked this company at random, Yo HR Consultancy. So imagine if I had a HR software and I identified that Yo HR Consultancy were using one of my competitors' softwares, I want to get them to switch. So I'm going to create the competitor comparison ads, and I'm only going to show it to the people that work at this company. And I can get more granular. I can say only show it to the CEO, the marketing manager, the HR manager, whoever. And then you would just add more companies. So all of the companies in your spreadsheet, you would add them here. So you're creating these very, very, very targeted ad campaigns to exactly the people that you want to show it to. And then you can also upload a list. So there's another feature that you can do on LinkedIn ads where you can take that table that you've created of all of the companies that you want to target. You have to customize it to make it fit the LinkedIn platform, but you can work that out. And you can literally just upload that list. So you can say, serve my ads to all the people, all the companies on this spreadsheet. And that's amazing. And then when you've done that, you've also got the lookalike. So you can ask LinkedIn to create a lookalike audience. So what it does, it takes all of that list that you gave it, and then it tries to find similar people, similar companies. It's a bit hit or miss as to whether that'll work or not, but it's certainly worth giving it a try, which is really effective. So that's arguably one of the most powerful things of this whole webinar, is that you can be very, very targeted. Then there's organic social media. So I would use the same ads that you created for the graphics, post them from the company account, post them from personal brands on LinkedIn. Personal brands get a lot more traction than company pages do, but get those campaigns out there via social media organic. And then finally is the ABM approach, account-based marketing. So the way that I like to do account-based marketing, it's quite complicated account-based marketing. There's lots of elements to it, but essentially it's hand-picking certain accounts that you want to target and then reaching out to them, convincing them to work with you. So this is like the one part of the ABM journey. But essentially what I'm explaining to you here is ABM, is identifying key accounts that you want to go after and then go after them. So what I like to do with these campaigns is I like to start with ads. So start by showing all those companies ads. If you've got, say, 50 different companies, you've shown them all LinkedIn ads. You've also hit them on Meta ads as well. Leave it at least 2 weeks, maybe a month. So you have a high chance, a high likelihood that those people have seen your ads, meaning they're familiar with your brand. They're familiar with the pain point that you're talking about. And maybe they're thinking of engaging with you. Hopefully some have already. And then, only then, do you reach out to them. So you can use LinkedIn Sales Navigator to find the exact person that you want to speak to. So it's, the senior people in the company, the CEO, the head of HR, whoever, and you connect with them on LinkedIn, and then you just do outreach to them. So it could be something along these lines. Hey, name, I see you're a client of company. Many people on G2 have been complaining about problem. Do you suffer from this? At our company, we focus on benefit. I can get you switched over within 2 days for free, worth a chat, your name. So that kind of outreach. And what's good about that is that, one, you're targeting the exact people you want to go after. And secondly, because it's a manual outreach, it's not like a bot message. So if you can try and make this personable, so like this thing here, I see you're a client of company. There's no way a bot would be able to do that. So as soon as they read that, they go, oh, they've done their research. That's interesting. I'm going to read on. So if you can add anything else in there, if you can like go on their website, or maybe you know someone that works with them, you can kind of get that personalized information in there. Okay, so that is it. That is my full process, my full 5-step approach to getting customers to switch from your competitors over to you. If you go through those 5 steps, I can almost guarantee that you will make leads. Get leads, make sales. But in terms of how I can help you, if you like what I taught you here, if you don't have the time resources to do those kind of campaigns, you can work with me and my agency to do that for you. So we work with SaaS companies, B2B SaaS companies. They've got limited marketing resources in-house. There's either nobody in marketing, or maybe there's 1 or 2 people in marketing. Maybe you're like a solo marketing manager, and we become an extension of your team. So you get me to work on the strategy together with you, figure out what campaigns we want to do, not just competitive campaigns, just one thing. It could be LinkedIn retargeting ads, it could be Google ads, it could be improving the website, it could be creating things like webinars, like I'm doing right now, to get you leads into the middle of the funnel. We'll essentially become your marketing department, or an extension of your marketing department. And it's all on a rolling monthly cancelling time plan. So if you want to see how much we cost, go to rocket-saas.io. Our pricing is very transparent. You can book a call with me. I do a free marketing strategy call. Be happy to have a chat about your business, give you some free advice. And that's it. So Q&A. Right, let me open. I've got a few people saying things in here. Right, what have we got? Great tactic for optimizing marketing campaign, paid media. Would be interested to hear more on the organic side. Is this something you can give advice on? So the organic side, yeah, well, I guess with organic, you can't be so targeted, can you? With organic, you're creating a post and you're posting it to all of your followers, either on your personal side of things or the company side of things. So therefore, it's a bit kind of hit and miss as to whether it's going to be seen by the right people that are with competitors. So organic doesn't have quite the same cut through as those targeted campaigns with ads or using LinkedIn Sales Navigator to find people. But it should still be a really strong campaign because you are still talking about the pain points that people are suffering from. You're promoting your business. So yeah, I still do it organically, but you probably won't get as much traction as the ad campaigns because you just really need to target people. We got another one here. Great webinar. Thanks for going through this. I'll share the recording with my team. Would love to work with you. Great. That's what we'd like to hear. I've got some other questions coming through here. Legal considerations. Should I be aware of when comparing my products to competitors? Oh, sorry. What legal considerations? Yeah. You should be aware of lots of legal things. The main thing is just make sure what you're stating is true. Don't guess. I've seen a lot of people guess and be like, yeah, I don't think that company has that feature. Because the thing is, you probably don't have access to their platforms. You don't know exactly what features they got. So you want to be careful. You don't want to guess and be like, oh, these guys don't have that integration. Turns out they do. And they can probably take some legal action there. Another one here. Can I show ads to people who follow companies on LinkedIn? Yeah, good question. The answer, sadly, is no. that would make this webinar a lot better if I could say you can just create this campaign and you can serve ads to people that follow your competitor on LinkedIn. Because if you follow the competitor, you're very likely to be a customer. They don't allow that. It's annoying. I wish they would. So they might release that one day, but at the moment, no. So what tool do you build landing page with? So we build landing pages with Unbounce is a really good tool. It's like a separate platform to your website. We build websites with WordPress as well. You can build landing pages on WordPress. What's this? Another one here. Have you tried any of these techniques before? Well, yes. So yeah, we've built our business not purely on this campaign, but it's been a very effective campaign. There's a lot of really, really poor marketing agencies out there. A lot of marketing agencies that have terrible customer service. A lot of marketing agencies that you buy into like the founder because he or she's brilliant, and then you get given to a junior person. Just results. Agencies don't get results. So we create lots of marketing campaigns that talk about those negative things. You don't, if you work with Rocket SaaS, you don't get given a junior account manager. We get great results. Here's some case studies to prove it. And then we go after SaaS companies that we know are with competitors. And then we create campaigns targeting them. So yeah, for us, we can't, it's very hard for us to tell exactly who's with competitors because they're not tech. But sometimes we can. So it's been a really effective campaign for us. So it's any business really, whether it's SaaS or anything. I've got lots of questions coming through here. Which tools do you recommend for creating artifacts, landing pages, etc.? Estimated ad spend for running campaigns. How much budget should we allow for this? So I think I've already answered the other question about landing pages. I use Unbounce. In terms of ad spend, I usually say, for LinkedIn ads is expensive. So I say a minimum of £1,000 a month. Really, you're not going to get much traction for less than £1,000 a month. So yeah, minimum £1,000 a month. Any more than that is great. Any strategies to combat companies bidding on your brand name? The only way to do that, so if people are bidding on your brand name on Google, the only way to combat it is for you to bid on it as well. That's it. You can't stop people from doing it. You used to be able to stop people from doing it, but Google changed the goalpost about 10 years ago. So you can obviously bid on your own brand name and you can bid more than they're bidding. So it's a bit annoying that you're paying like £1, £2 a click every time someone clicks on your brand name, but that's the only way to combat it really. So that is it. I think that's all the questions. I need a glass of water. My throat has dried up, all that speaking. But I really hope you found some value from that webinar. I'd love for you to implement those 5 steps. Keep me updated. Follow me on LinkedIn, Ryan James, Rocket SaaS. Tell me how you got on. Any questions that you've got, I'd be happy to help. And yeah, I'm going to send you the recording as well so you can kind of go through this. And yeah, if you want more tips, more advice around this, my podcast, SaaS Marketing Weekly, find that on Apple, Spotify, and you get just more tips like this every Tuesday. So hopefully I'll see you there. But all right, thanks so much, everybody. Have a great rest of the day and catch you on the next webinar.